A town of Binghamton woman has written a memoir that seems uniquely suited for our times. Melissa Priblo Chapman, or Missy, has released Distant Skies, which recounts a cross-country trip she took on her horse back in 1982. At the age of 23, she set off with her horse Rainy, her dog Gypsy, camping gear, and a dream. Along the way, she picked up a pack mule, made many new friends and acquaintances, and created hundreds of memories recounted in the book. We caught up with her near her home, where she still likes to get out and ride.
I was always a horseback rider, one of those people that was obsessed with horses for as long as I can remember.
He reminds me a lot of Rainy, the horse from my trip.
The idea from the trip was kind of a daydream, a fantasy as a kid. You know, I'd just think about, wouldn't that be great to just ride all day and travel and meet people and camp outside. And, you know, as I got into my young adulthood, it was that funny age where a lot of people were choosing careers or settling down, and that idea of that trip just kept nagging at me that I wanted to do that. The horse I had at the time, Rainy, he was just perfect for this type of thing. He's steady and calm and healthy, and it was just a great horse, and it just started taking on a life of its own to try this trip, you know, the idea to try this trip. We left in spring from here and hit California in the late fall. It's such an unusual thing to think how many times there were whole days in a row that no one could hear from us or know where we were, because there were no cell phones or, you know, emails or anything. It was just, you find a payphone in a gas station somewhere, you know. I had between $1,200 and $1,500, and now that seems crazy that we lived that long like that, but I think one of the things in the book that people are responding to is that sort of old-fashioned idea of neighbors helping neighbors, and, you know, stopping at a farm and they invite you to dinner. I did try to look at maps, and I thought that I had a route, and about 2 weeks into the trip, that went out the window. People would say, no, you don't want to take a horse on that road. Follow the river to this guy's barn and then cut through the field. It became very localized, you know, and I learned to kind of treat it that way. As long as we were always going west, I learned to avoid, you know, busy areas as much as possible, and just sort of follow these locals' advice to the next stop, to the next stop. We found a pack mule, Amanda, in Kansas, where we were staying, and she did the rest of the journey with us. From like about western Kansas on, it got a lot more desolate because we were, you know, avoiding cities and back and highways, and sometimes we'd ride all day and not see anyone. People we did meet were always wanted to help. I think there was something about the idea of the journey and someone following their dreams that appealed to other people, so people really responded to it. Also, the fact that I was a female and alone was very non-threatening. You know, sometimes I'd call a number someone gave me and say, I just need a safe place off the road. I sleep in the barn with the horse, or I'll, you know, camp in your field. And they'd say, okay. But when I'd get there, they would kind of say, no, come inside. Whether it was storms or adventures and danger we got into, it always seemed like someone came along at the right moment, you know, and it sort of taught me that to be strong and to try to be self-sufficient, but always to remember how much people need each other and can help each other out. I guess I had the attitude each day, something could happen that sends us home, but at least I tried it, you know, and I think that still stays with me too, that something seems hard and just give it a try and keep going, you know, and I think that's a message that has affected my life and still does, you know.
Distant Skies, An American Journey on Horseback is published by Trafalgar Square and is available on most book websites, including Amazon and Barnes & Noble.